At number 10, a multiverse created in the lab. In 2013, researchers delved into the realms of parallel universes at the University of Maryland College Park and Towson University. Through an unconventional experiment involving metamaterials reminiscent of invisibility cloaks, they sparked the birth of multiple universes within a lab-crafted multiverse. These alternate realms, referred to as Minkowski spacetimes, share a striking resemblance to our own, but they elegantly incorporate time as the fourth dimension, aligning neatly with Einstein's special relativity. Astonishingly, the setup behind this cosmic wizardry is surprisingly straightforward, relying on a solution of cobalt immersed in kerosene. It's a captivating testament to human ingenuity, demonstrating that we can, in a sense, engineer our own universes, offering tantalizing hints of the existence of parallel ones. If you're enjoying the video so far, please support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Most Amazing, and ringing that notification bell. At number 9, quantum immortality. Concept born from the mind-bending world of quantum mechanics challenges our understanding of existence itself. In this thought experiment turned intriguing hypothesis, Max Tegmark delves into the idea that we might encounter multiple demises throughout our lives. So picture this. With every brush with mortality, our consciousness dances across the multiverse, slipping into the nearest timeline where our demise was narrowly avoided. It's a notion that, at first glance, may seem kind of like science fiction, but it has gained traction among those who claim to have undergone these shifts, myself included. The scientific community remains skeptical, dismissing it as a mere fantastical notion. However, for some, the reality has been altered in ways they can't explain. They recount near unaliving experiences as evidence, pointing to moments where they distinctly felt the universe pivot around them. The shift is often unnoticed until later on, leaving individuals to trace subtle differences in their new reality, like the ripples of earlier choices echoing through their existence. At number 8 is the glitch in the Matrix. Have you ever pondered the enigmatic signs of parallel universes lurking within the annals of history? The notion that we may inhabit a cosmic computer simulation governed by these unseen puppeteers in a parallel realm is as intriguing as it is unsettling. Consider the perplexing incidents that defy logical explanation. Objects that inexplicably vanish only to reappear, like my cell phone, as if manipulated by an unforeseen digital hand. Witnesses recounting the same individual in different locales simultaneously, or their sudden disappearances and inexplicable reappearance after extensive searches, raising unsettling questions about our reality. Then there are the anomalies in our mundane surroundings, where everyday objects undergo inexplicable transformations. Time itself, our constant companion, appears to warp and falter, with reports of time slips and eerie time freezes defying our understanding. Even more disconcerting, some of these glitches have been captured on camera, offering tantalizing glimpses into the possible fissures of our simulated universe. Are we all but unwitting pawns in a grand experiment? The prospect is both fascinating and terrifying. And to those with the unseen controllers, if you're listening, well, you know what to do. At number 7, the cosmic bruise. In 2017, cosmologists stumbled upon a cosmic anomaly that sent shockwaves through the scientific community, the enigmatic cold spot in the universe. Now, it's not just any cosmic bruise. It could be a lingering mark from a cataclysmic event, a collision between our universe and another. As Professor Tom Shanks of Durham University Center of Extragalactic Astronomy suggests, this cold spot might be the fossilized signature of an interdimensional encounter, a moment when our reality clashed with one of the countless others that make up this cosmic tapestry. What's truly mind-boggling is that this isn't an isolated incident. Researchers have discovered not one, but 4 of these mysterious bruises. This revelation implies that our universe has been involved in multiple inter-universal rendezvous throughout its existence. The implications are staggering. They hint at the existence of a multiverse, a mind-bending landscape of alternate realities where anything might be possible. At number 6, the Large Hadron Collider. Last year, the behemoth of science, the Large Hadron Collider, roared back to life after 3 years of meticulous upgrades. But what's all the hype? Well, it's not just about smashing particles together anymore. It's about probing the very fabric of the universe. The Higgs boson, the elusive God particle, is on the menu, and dark matter is the dessert. And it might just be the tool to unlock the secrets of a parallel universe. How, you ask? Well, it's all about those sneaky extra dimensions. In the world of theoretical physics, they're like hidden rooms in the cosmic mansion. Picture this. If extra dimensions do exist, there should be heavier versions of standard particles called Kaluza-Klein states. These lookalikes, but with more heft, could be the breadcrumbs leading us into parallel universe. If the Large Hadron Collider detectors spot a Z negative or W negative like particle with a mass of 100 times or greater, it could be the clue we've been waiting for. So brace yourself, because with the Large Hadron Collider, we might just peel back the layers of reality and find the signs of a parallel universe. At number 5, the Mandela Effect is a mind-bending puzzle that thrusts us into the intriguing realm of collective false memories. Fiona Broom's encounter with the phenomenon in 2010 sent shockwaves through our understanding of memory and reality. The curious case of Nelson Mandela's demise, while many recalling it occurring in the 1980s while he was imprisoned, challenges our grasp on historical facts. But it doesn't stop there. Classic tales like Snow White and Star Wars warp our perceptions collectively, as we mistakenly remember Mirror, Mirror on the Wall and Luke, I am your father, when the actual lines are subtly different. The Berenstein Bears, once spelt with an E, now boasts an A, while Oscar Mayer has taken a new dimension with its A instead of an E. These anomalies raise questions about parallel universes and reality shifts. Are our false memories glimpses into alternate dimensions, or simply quirks of the human cognition? At number 4, our own simulated universe. In 2018, researchers embarked on a colossal computer simulation endeavor, fashioning entirely new universes amid diverse circumstances. Now, what they unearthed was nothing short of mind-bending. These parallel realities could emerge even with dark energy levels starkly deviating from our own. As study co-author Pascal Elahi eloquently noted, quote, "Even in universes with 300 times as much dark energy as ours, life found a way," end quote. This revelation underscores the resilience of life amidst the tumultuous cosmic dance. Elahi's insight took us deeper into the cosmic rabbit hole. Accelerated expansion fueled by dark energy appeared to have a negligible sway over the birth of stars and the emergence of life-bearing worlds. Consequently, the existence of planets teeming with life within alternate universes became a tantalizing possibility. At number 3 is the third man syndrome, a phenomenon that often accompanies harrowing accidents, raising eerie questions about the possibility of parallel universes intersecting with our reality. See, victims of life-threatening situations report an inexplicable presence offering guidance and encouragement. Is this a celestial entity watching over us, or perhaps an alternate version of ourselves from a parallel universe reaching out to prevent our own demise? The widespread accounts of this phenomenon add to its mystique. Could this be a glimpse into the multiverse where infinite variations of our existence coexist? The mysterious signs of parallel universes manifest in these moments of despair, challenging our understanding of reality. While we can't definitively explain third man syndrome, the comfort it provides to those facing tragedy is undeniable, offering a glimmer of hope in the mysterious tapestry of existence. At number 2, black holes or black gateways. Black holes, those mysterious cosmic entities, have long fascinated scientists and sparked intriguing theories. One theory, first proposed by Mr. Stephen Hawking himself, suggests that black holes might serve as gateways to other dimensions or parallel universes. The idea here is that whatever enters a black hole isn't obliterated, but rather transported to an entirely different realm. Now, we know that black holes indeed possess 2 openings, and this fact alone lends credibility to the notion that it might connect to separate realities. Imagine the possibilities. What if these mysterious phenomena are cosmic wormholes leading to parallel dimensions? It's a concept that challenges our understanding of the universe and beckons us to explore the unknown. And while the idea of volunteering into a venture into a black hole may seem far-fetched, it's a testament to humanity's unquenchable curiosity. Who knows what secrets these cosmic enigmas might hold, and what remarkable discoveries await those brave enough to embark on such a cosmic journey. And at number 1, the Anita experiment, the scientific discovery that proves single-handedly the existence of parallel universes. The claim begins with a hook that would tingle the spidey senses of any sci-fi enthusiast. Imagine a remote research station in Antarctica where scientists diligently hunt for cosmic rays. Now, that's intriguing enough on its own, but it gets even better. See, naturally they had their instruments facing the sky, but then these researchers suddenly detect not 1, but 2 signals shooting out of the ground beneath them, defying all logic. See, these rays of neutrinos are supposed to come from supernova, so it's highly improbable that the rays are passing through the Earth without coming into contact with a single particle of matter, only to land on a tiny weather balloon. To make sense of this, scientists delved into over 40 papers offering a buffet of explanations. Dark matter, elusive particles called sterile neutrinos, and then, the grandest of them all, a parallel universe. Essentially a mirror image of ours, but where time runs backwards. Imagine that. This audacious idea isn't pulled out of thin air either. It's rooted in actual science, a theorem which hints that alongside our universe, an antimatter universe stretches backward through time before the Big Bang. But let's tap the brakes here because a more down-to-earth theory has surfaced. That's right, hold your antimatter horses, because as it turns out, it's more likely that these signals were simply reflected off of ice or skipped off of subglacial lakes. The truth, it seems, is more grounded, reflecting high energy particles, not parallel dimensions. Sorry y'all, I mean, unless you want to go ahead and put away Occam's razor.
And we're kicking off this list with ANITA, the Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna. ANITA is a high-tech balloon-type object used by NASA hovering over Antarctica. It was designed to track particles that are the result of collisions with high-energy neutrinos, which enter into our atmosphere from deep within space. Just a few years back, though, ANITA discovered something kinda strange. It detected neutrinos that a group of scientists suggested could be a glimpse into a parallel universe. The strangeness comes from the fact that these particular neutrinos seem to come from below the Earth's surface instead of from space, like all the other neutrinos the device was designed to pick up. Now, I'm not sure if you guys know this. I am not a scientist. However, the consensus amongst scientists is that this was pretty odd. This led to some hypothesizing that maybe these particles were slipping into our world from a parallel universe, where the rules of how things work might be completely opposite. Researchers have pondered that this potential parallel universe might be running time backwards. Imagine events unfolding in reverse, like rewinding a movie. So instead of coming from out there, they're coming from up there. Now, this is just speculative, but it's a possibility, and that's pretty cool. At number 9, we have a really cool story posted to Reddit by user udominate123. It seems like two parallel universes may have crossed over here. That's one possible explanation anyway, unless this is all just an amazing coincidence or, you know, just isn't true. Anyways, it goes like this. My company was located inside a large business park, and there were walking paths that wound through buildings, crossed roads, and spanned the entire park. Every day during my lunch break, I would take a walk on those paths to get a little exercise. One day, I was walking. I noticed a car driving towards me that was the exact same color and model as mine, which isn't too odd in itself, except my car had a very unique vanity plate on the front that this car also happened to have. As the car got closer, I noticed it had a VIP pass from an event I recently went to hanging from the rear view mirror, the same as my car. I watched very closely as it drove by, and I saw myself driving, clear as day, wearing the exact same shirt I was wearing at the time, the same glasses. Since the car was inside the business park, it was moving no more than 15 miles per hour, so I got a very good look. The person driving looked forward the whole time, so they didn't appear to see me. It drove around a corner and was gone. I tried looking in the lots of the buildings where it was driving towards, but I didn't find any of them. My car was in the exact same spot. I left it unmoved. Next on the list, we have the man from Torrid. Now, this story has reached urban legend status at this point, but it's still a fascinating tale. The year is 1954, and Tokyo's Haneda Airport is buzzing with activity. In walks this dude, but when the customs folks asked where he's from, he drops a bombshell. Torrid is his answer. Now, wait a minute. You're probably thinking, like, well, where the heck is Torrid? What is that? Well, according to this mystery man, he pointed it out on a map. Torrid is exactly where Andorra is. Customs officers scratched their heads as the man became increasingly frustrated, never having heard of Andorra before. Torrid? Nowhere to be found though. So authorities stick him in a hotel room, guards stationed outside, but come morning, the guy has completely vanished. And not only that, but his passport and personal documents that were in custody were also nowhere to be found all of a sudden. So the idea here is that this guy slipped into our world from a parallel universe just for a short time, a glitch in the matrix, if you will, and hopefully he woke up the next morning in his own universe and got to head back home to Torrid and tell his version of events. Maybe there's another version of me shooting a video exactly like this right now, talking about the strange Japanese airport that didn't know where Torrid was, pointing at a mysterious place called Andorra on the map instead. Number 7, DejaVu. Not gonna spend a lot of time on this one because you all know what it is and it's been talked about to death. But it is one of those phenomena that scientists have yet to definitively explain. There are only hypotheses, and that's pretty interesting, especially seeing as this is an incredibly common occurrence. You'd think, like, with how often this happens to everybody, that they'd have, like, cracked the code by now. Never gets old either. Like, every time deja vu hits me, it's just as magical as it was the first time, and I always have to announce it. Like, no matter where I am or how inappropriate it may be, I gotta be like, hey, I just had deja vu. Sorry, go on. Continue lowering the casket. I don't know, I just can't help it. It's so darn cool. Let me know some of your weirdest deja vu stories down below. I'm fascinated. Number 6, the wow signal. The wow signal is a mysterious radio signal picked up in 1977 by an Ohio State University radio telescope, lasting just 72 seconds. It's called the wow signal due to the astronomer Jerry R. Iman's scribbled exclamation on the data printout. The signal's frequency and intensity were unlike any known natural source, sparking speculation about its origin. Now, the most exciting theory is that it could have been extraterrestrial in origin, but some have even suggested it might have come from a parallel universe. The strange signal has only ever been captured one time, so perhaps whatever created this signal dipped into a black hole somewhere and is in a completely different universe now. But more dull explanations like passing comet or space debris have also not been ruled out, so it is definitely no definitive proof or anything, but pretty interesting all the same. It's worth checking out the recording too. Pretty spooky sounding. Number 5, the Mandela effect. This is another one that's just like with deja vu, gets talked about a lot, so I won't bore you with it for too long, but it's fun to talk about. Mandela effect is when a lot of people remember something one way, turns out to be different. People think they remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison, but he actually didn't. Some think it's because of parallel universes where different versions of reality exist at the same time, and the idea is that our memories might be crossing over from these other universes, causing this kind of confusion, a jumbled mess. There's a bunch of parallel worlds, each slightly different. Sometimes things just get jumbled up and we remember stuff from a different world. Now, that's just one possible explanation for this phenomenon. Some say it's just how our brains work. Our memories are not the most reliable, and for whatever reason, there are certain things our brains collectively seem to picture one way and it just doesn't turn out to be the case. Really depends on which Mandela effect you're talking about, I guess. There are tons of different ones. Regardless though, it's another bizarre occurrence without a definitive scientific explanation. I still say my favorite one is the Pikachu's tail having like black on the end. That's one I seriously, everyone tells me, oh, when I was a kid I had a Pikachu doll with like a black, his tail was black on the end. I could swear. You can never find pictures of it unless it's like a, I don't know, unless someone just made one. I don't know. Anyway. Next up we have ghosts. Now this one is pretty kooky, but ghosts don't come up much when the subject of parallel universes are brought up, so I just thought to change things up, I'd throw them in here. Now, ghost stories are not really taken seriously by the scientific community, which is fair enough. There's really no evidence that proves these types of stories to be legitimate, but at the same time, there's not really any definitive way to disprove ghosts outright either. It's kind of an unfalsifiable thing, and again, that doesn't mean they do exist, but it is possible. Unlikely, but possible. So, do ghosts exist in an alternate dimension adjacent to our own, which crosses over from time to time? Are they stuck in some sort of dimension where time doesn't move forward like it does here, and they're just trapped in a never-ending loop, appearing the same way they did before they died? Is that what happens when we die? That's a pretty terrifying idea. And number 3, we have unexplained disappearances. Unexplained disappearances happen all the time. We talk about a lot of them on this channel. People who go out one day, never to be seen again, just gone without a trace. Now, obviously, the most likely explanation here is foul play. Someone grabbed them and is just very good at concealing evidence. But is that the explanation for every one of these cases? Maybe not. It's just people have been known to disappear without a trace either. It's everyday objects too. So, are there small pockets of space that lead to parallel universes that these people or things just happen to fall into occasionally? I told a story about a month back about a pillow I had that just vanished from the couch and then reappeared months later. Like, stuff like this happens. It's incredibly weird. Check out my top 10 evil entities people encountered in apartment blocks video for that full story, by the way. Next up, we have a story posted to Reddit by user Julia Keck, and she describes an experience that, if true, could possibly point to a parallel universe brushing up against our own for a brief moment. She writes, "When I wake up, the first thing I do is get on my computer and And so I did that one morning. I decided I'd check my subscription feed on YouTube, and the first video that showed up was just some mundane story time type of video. Unfortunately, I don't really remember what it was or the author anymore. I don't usually watch this type of stuff, but for some odd reason, I had an urge to click on it and see what it was, and so I did. I watched a few seconds of the video unamused and then suddenly got a huge feeling of deja vu. I felt like I'd watched the video before, but the weirdest thing is I started reciting it. I knew every word said in the video. Why the F would I know it? I don't remember things so clearly when I have deja vu. I freaked out because watching this video before was impossible, as it was uploaded 20 minutes before I watched it. I even checked if this was some sort of re-upload or remake, but it wasn't. And that's gonna bring us to our final point here. We have the phone call. This one was also posted to Reddit by user Torby Lilies. The story goes as follows. I was at work when my dad called my phone. I was worried that something was wrong because a few minutes earlier I had called him and he couldn't make out what I was saying, but he knew it was my voice and I sounded agitated. All he could make out were a couple of times where I used some of the nonsense nicknames I use for my parents' pets. So he thought something had happened to the dogs. I told him I hadn't called him, but he didn't believe me and thought I was pulling a prank. Later on, when I saw him in person, I showed him that the last outgoing call I had made to him had been about 5 days before, but he had definitely been called by my phone earlier that day because his phone showed an incoming call from my number and the call had gone on for about 3 minutes before it cut off. So, I mean, this would freak the hell out of me, right? It's the fact that whoever this mystery caller is sounded exactly like them, according to their father, and that they knew the names of their dogs. Was this a parallel version of this Reddit user who found themselves in another universe and tried calling their father in a panic, not knowing what was going on? Or had someone managed to hack their phone and knew exactly how to impersonate their voice and knew the names of their pets? I don't know. You decide in the comments.
Starting us off at number 10 is the Berenstain Bears. So growing up in the 90s, this one was a classic. It was both an adorable children's book and also a TV show. And I mean, it was just a great story about a family of bears and a memorable part of my childhood. However, you would think, being so memorable and all, we would all be on the same page about how it was spelt. Apparently not. The Berenstain Bears falls victim to the Mandela effect because despite what many remember, the name Berenstain is spelt with an A, like stain. But many, including myself, would put money on the fact that it was Berenstein, like with an E. The first time I read this one, my brain broke a little, and I still have a hard time with it. But let me know, which spelling do you guys remember? Was it an E or with an A? Moving on to number 9, the Monopoly Man. When you think about Monopoly, you probably think about 10-hour games with your siblings that end up in tears, screaming matches, and somehow wanting to play it again, but you also remember that the Monopoly Man had a monocle, right? Apparently not. According to the company, photos, advertisements, and even giant balloons of the Moneybags character, he has never had a monocle. Not once. Yet still, so many people claim to have seen him sporting one for many years. I mean, it all just feels wrong. What parallel universe got the monocle Monopoly Man? Because apparently it wasn't ours. Moving on to number 8, Skechers. Another parallel universe Mandela effect in the spelling department is the popular shoe brand Skechers. Most people agree that the brand Skechers spells their name Sketchers, mostly because, well, it makes a lot of sense, but also because that is how a large amount of the population remember seeing it spelt. However, in reality, or at least in this version of reality, the brand name spells it without a T, so Skechers. Now, of course, some people attribute this Mandela effect to just a bad memory or you being a kid and not paying attention to things, which is totally fair, but there are many adults who are sure they bought shoes and the brand spelt the name with a T. So how do you explain that? I don't know, man. What do you guys think? Which one do you remember seeing? Next up at number 7, Pikachu. In the 90s, Pokemon was pretty much the biggest show there was. And if you ask just about any 90s kid, they will likely tell you that they remember Pikachu having a black end on his tail. But apparently, we are all in the same fever dream because the black tip on the end of Pikachu's tail never existed. Ash's Pikachu, along with all the others, had black ends on the ears and a brown base on the tail, but the tip was just plain old yellow. Now with this one, there could be a little bit of a reason aside from a possible clue of a parallel universe as to why we all have this collective memory. It has been proposed that because Pikachu's earlier evolution, Pichu, actually does have a black tail, our little brains remembered that and assumed the black part stayed, which might be one option. But the parallel universe theory is way more fun, so I'm gonna stick with that. Moving on to number 6. Abe Vigoda. Although Abe Vigoda will always be famous for his role in The Godfather, it will never be his biggest claim to fame. That's because in 1982, Vigoda was reported dead by People magazine. The only problem? He didn't actually die for another 30 years. Even crazier is that despite him still being alive and well 5 years later, a local newspaper in New Jersey reported him dead again. Naturally, this became a long-standing joke among comics. In fact, during a roast hour, comedian Jeff Ross said, "My one regret is that Abe Vigoda isn't alive to see this," which was followed by Vigoda jumping up in mock anger from his seat in the audience and shaking his fist at Ross. Thankfully, he seems to have had a good sense of humor about the whole situation, but still, how can not one but two companies declare and publish that a man has died who is very much still alive? Well, some think that's because he might have actually died in a different reality. Interestingly, when the actor actually passed away in 2016, reporters were hesitant to pick up the story just in case it was an error. Moving on to number 5. Fruit of the Loom. The famous underwear company was founded in 1851 and has been a household staple ever since. But it's not the spelling on this one that has people questioning if it's from a parallel universe, but the logo. As you likely know, the logo for the Fruit of the Loom is a bunch of fruit, an apple and some grapes, but some online argue that in the past there was a cornucopia present behind all the produce. The theory started a few years ago in 2018 when a Redditor started a thread in the Mandela Effect subreddit, and they posted a photo of what they remembered the Fruit of the Loom logo looking like, with a cornucopia behind all the fruit. And after they shared that, it turned out they were not alone. The Redditor even allegedly sent a DM to the Fruit of the Loom Instagram account to double check, and the employee who answered confirmed that no, the cornucopia had never existed, but that, quote, "even some of us are still convinced it was a thing." So apparently, despite the collective groupthink, the Fruit of the Loom logo has never, to the best of anyone's knowledge, included a cornucopia in its 130-year existence. Moving on to number 4, Henry VIII. One of the most famous Mandela effects is the well-known portrait of King Henry VIII, painted by Hans Holbein the Younger in 1537. In the photo, the king can be seen holding a glove, except many people don't remember it being a glove at all. They remember it being a turkey leg. Now, some say that the pop culture portrayal of King Henry VIII is to blame for the confusion. For example, in the 1933 film The Private Life of Henry VIII, the king devours almost an entire chicken, and while portraying the king in a 2004 episode of The Simpsons, Homer Simpson also munches on a turkey leg. So culturally, we kind of have this image that he's just always eating a piece of meat, I guess. But not only that, historians believe that King Henry VIII may have been the one to introduce turkey into Christmas feasts. So in that sense, it would make sense for him to be holding one. Still, apparently, according to experts, the turkey leg phenomenon is not real. At least, not in this universe. Moving on to number 3, emojis. There are so many emojis that honestly, when it comes to the lesser used ones, I don't think I could tell you what there is or isn't an emoji of. But there are some out there who are sure that they have used emojis that apparently never existed. One of these emojis is a left-facing seahorse. According to one Reddit user, they posted saying that they are dead set and even remember where the seahorse used to sit on the keyboard, to which many other online users agreed that they too remember a left-facing orange seahorse. But interestingly, that is not the only emoji that people remember once existing. Apparently, there has never been a robber. There's never been a slice of pumpkin pie with whipped cream, a hiker, a toaster, or a swordfish. Yet there are many who claim that they have a clear memory of using these emojis. Do any of you remember using these? Do you remember any others that apparently have never existed? Coming in at number 2, Shaggy's Adam's apple. Scooby-Doo was a huge part of so many people's childhoods, but according to some online, there appears to be something missing from the photos of the old cartoons these days. Shaggy's Adam's apple. One Reddit user, CyberGothicChe, posted saying, quote, "As I recall, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo had quite a large Adam's apple. In fact, I believe it was used for comical effect, both when he ate something and also when he gulped in fear. His Adam's apple would move quite a distance, indicating the movement of his throat muscles. Others have also noted that Shaggy has lost his Adam's apple. This seems to be a recent Mandela effect, as I have not heard it prior except once or twice." Now, many other Redditors responded in agreement, saying that they too remembered this Adam's apple. And if I think back to the old cartoons, I wanna say that I remember it too. Now, here is where it gets a little confusing. So there have been tons of different versions of Shaggy, and apparently in one version, the 2015 TV series, he does have an Adam's apple, but none of the other versions show that. Now, some have wondered if this more recent version, including the Adam's apple, is why we remember it always being that way. But then others have pointed out that it would be strange to just give him an Adam's apple out of nowhere if he never had one, even going back to like the 60s. So was it just animators trying something new, or did the Shaggy from another universe slip into this one? And last up in our number 1 spot, Jiffy. Depending on who you ask, the famous peanut butter brand is either called Jif or Jiffy. These days we are being told it was never called Jiffy, but there are some online who remember things a little differently. In a Reddit thread about the Jiffy peanut butter Mandela effect, user Albino Raccoon posted a photo seemingly proving that those who remembered Jiffy peanut butter were not losing their minds. In the post, he shared both a photo and a video of a restaurant menu that advertised what they called a Jiffy burger, and beside it was a photo of the classic peanut butter jar with the word Jiffy written across. Other Redditors responded in support. For example, Berenstain Stain said, quote, "I noticed this change about 10 years ago. Obviously, I didn't know about the Mandela effect at the time, so I assumed they just rebranded it. 10 years later, I find out it never existed. I'd sure love to know how I saw it in my mom's kitchen throughout my childhood then." Now, some think that believers of this particular effect are misremembering Skippy peanut butter, but I mean, what do you guys think? Team Jif or Team Jiffy?
Coming in at number 10 is Burger King's The Windows 7 Whopper. Yeah, Windows 7 Whopper. When Microsoft launched an operating system in 2009, it collaborated with Burger King's in Japan to sell special Whoppers with 7 patties. Now the promotion only lasted 1 week in October, but its legacy has endured ever since. Just looking at the Windows 7 Whopper burger, its flaws are apparent. The 2 average size buns were not meant to contain 7 whole patties between them, in addition to any cheese, veggies, and condiments the customer desired. There are a few hilarious reviews of the sandwich worth reading, and almost all of them share a few central themes. The Windows 7 Whopper burger was almost impossible to hold together. It was also almost impossible to bite into evenly. The combined juices from the 7 patties inevitably soaked the buns until they were a soggy mess. Now probably the worst of all is that by default the burger comes with no cheese and only enough veggies for the top patty. As a reviewer eloquently so put it, how does it taste? How do you think it tastes? It's 7 pieces of Burger King meat. This is meat followed by meat washed down by meat. Now this burger literally looks like something out of a cartoon and not real life. Number 9. McDonald's Hula Burger. Okay, so some backstory. Many Christians give up meat in observance of Lent, but McDonald's still wanted them as customers. A franchise owner created the Filet-O-Fish, which the founder of the company, Ray Kroc, thought was stupid. "You're always coming up here with a bunch of crap," Ray reportedly tells the franchise owner who proposed the idea for the Filet-O-Fish. "I don't want my stores stunk up with the smell of fish." Now Ray then had another idea for attracting Catholic customers during Lent, the Hula Burger. This Hawaiian-inspired sandwich consisted of a grilled pineapple slice, cheese, and a bun. How appetizing. Now on Good Friday in 1962, Ray agreed to release the Filet-O-Fish in conjunction with his Hula Burger in select restaurants. Whichever sandwich was the most popular would win a spot on McDonald's permanent menu. On that day, 350 Filet-O-Fish sandwiches were sold, and the number of Hula Burgers sold, about 6. In Ray's biography, Grinding It Out, The Making of McDonald's, he mentioned one customer who said, "I like the hula, but where's the burger?" Now, as we know, the Filet-O-Fish was a massive hit and they ended up putting it on the menu permanently, and the Hula Burger is nowhere to be found, and all I can say is thank God. Why would he ever think that burger would be a good idea? Aloha! Number 8. Burger King's Bacon Sundae. Everyone loved everything bacon in the early 2000s, and Burger King decided to capitalize off that in a strange way. In the summer of 2012, Burger King introduced a special edition Bacon Sundae. After being tested out in Nashville, Tennessee, the sundae was met with mixed reviews and a fierce debate when it was made available nationwide. Fans called it crunchy and smoky and appreciated its generosity on the bacon. The sundae was topped with real bacon crumbles and finished off with an entire strip or 2 of bacon. Now while it did have some fans with so much distaste for the sundae, it turned out to be limited edition and never made it past the summer. Now Burger King does still offer sundaes with caramel and chocolate fudge, so you could technically DIY your own by ordering a sundae with a couple sides of bacon and crumbling them in there yourself, but personally, I wouldn't recommend it. Number 7. Tim Hortons Buffalo Latte. Throughout the 2010s, beloved Canadian coffee and donut chain Tim Hortons had its sights set on an expansion in the US. Now listen, I love Tim's, it's truly a national treasure, but this was questionable. Thankfully, the US welcomed Tim's with open arms, and today there are over 500 locations across the US, but in October 2017, Tim Hortons made an extremely questionable choice. To celebrate openings across Buffalo, New York, the birthplace of buffalo sauce, the company introduced an absolutely repulsive buffalo-flavored latte. Yes, you heard that right, it was a buffalo latte. Now this was just a horrible idea, as they could have incorporated buffalo sauce in so many of their other items, like they could have honored buffalo with buffalo flavored sausage, egg and cheese biscuit, but nope. Now there was a theory that Tim Hortons never intended to sell a single cup of the buffalo latte, but was instead engaging in a publicity stunt, but I'm not too sure. If you are an American and had this drink, please let me know every single detail about it in the comments below. Number 6. McDonald's Pumpkin Spice Fries. Okay, so pumpkin spice is all the talk in September and October. Personally, I don't get the hype, but people love it. People love it so much, McDonald's wanted to get their hand in the pumpkin spice madness, but this was in the strangest way. In Japan in the year 2016, McDonald's concocted Halloween Choco Potato, a tray of fries drizzled with chocolate and pumpkin sauces. The Halloween Choco Potato fries were released in October and were meant to honor the spooky season, both in taste and appearance. Now surprisingly, the majority of reviews have been positive, as customers love the salty sweet combo enough that the treat reappeared for multiple Halloweens. Personally, this just seems so strange to me, and I don't think I would ever try these. Number 5. KFC Donut Fried Chicken Sandwich. Now this looks like some kid dreamt it up and made it into a reality. Introduced in 2019, KFC's Donut Fried Chicken Sandwich promoted diabetes, as it was a chicken sandwich where the buns were glazed donuts. Sounds so healthy. Now the Donut Fried Chicken Sandwich packed a whopping 1,100 calories, more than half the recommended daily allowance. A heart-stopping 585 of those calories are from fat, over 1,300 milligrams of sodium, 50 milligrams of cholesterol, and a stunning 40 grams of sugar, more than an adult male's entire recommended daily intake. Safe to say it was a good idea that they took this off the menu, as I'm sure it could have resulted in many deaths. I just don't understand why someone would think this would be a good idea. Do donuts and fried chicken even go together? I'm flabbergasted by this. Number 4. Dairy Queen's Mystery Misty. The Dairy Queen Mystery Misty was a color-changing slushie that hit big in 2004. The colorless blue raspberry flavored drink came with a special straw filled with a mysterious powder. Pulling the straw's tab released the powder so it could be stirred into the drink, magically turning it blue, red, green, or yellow. So you're just telling me people willingly bought a drink that contained a mysterious powder to make it look pretty and had no problem with it? Like, what even was the powder? That doesn't seem safe at all. Now, even with this trick, the Misty slushy drinks were well past their 90s heyday and didn't last long. When 2017 rolled around, DQ boarded the 90s resurgence bandwagon and brought back the Misty slush in several fruity flavors, but without the mystery flavors, which is probably the best call. Number 3. Burger King Kuro Black Ninja Burger. In the early 2010s, Burger King Japan based this burger on an anime character. The Kuro Ninja features a black bun, which gets its color from bamboo charcoal, the regular beef patty, a hash brown, and a special sauce. Oh, and it also had a giant piece of bacon sticking out of it, looking like a tongue. Now this was a callback to the ninja tradition of taunting their enemies with a devastating nanny nanny boo boo chant and sticking out their tongue. I get the bacon sticking out because it was supposed to look like the character, but it's just unnerving. I mean, do you see the photo of that? It makes me extremely uncomfortable. It is said though that it came with cute little ninja stickers when you bought a value meal, so I guess that makes up for its unnerving design, but wow, truly wow. Number 2. Taco Bell's Waffle Taco. Taco Bell, a self-proclaimed outside the bun kind of company, wasn't about to let McDonald's steal all the breakfast glory with its Egg McMuffin. Joining in on what some dubbed the fast food breakfast wars, Taco Bell rolled out its first ever breakfast menu in 2014. Along with standards like breakfast burritos, the Taco Bell morning menu included something called the Waffle Taco. As its name suggests, the Waffle Taco consisted of a taco-shaped waffle packed with breakfast taco fillings, eggs, and served with syrup on the side. Although fellow breakfast items like the AM Crunch Wrap, now called the Breakfast Crunch Wrap, were a hit for Taco Bell, the Waffle Taco was a miss. Soon after its debut, Taco Bell Chief Marketing Officer Chris Brannett hinted that some items might run out of gas. Sure enough, the Waffle Taco was taken off the menu in 2015 and replaced with the Biscuit Taco. Now the Biscuit Taco followed the same basic formula, with a biscuit in the place of the waffle shell, and surprise, it's also no longer on the menu. I think fast food places should just stay away from the breakfast menu entirely, well, except Wendy's, because I mean their French toast sticks are delicious. And coming in at number 1 is Burger King Halloween Whopper. In 2015, Food Beast reported on how Japanese diners had the opportunity to enjoy black buns at Burger King for years, and it was finally America's turn. The limited time Halloween offering featured a flame grilled beef patty with American cheese and topped with lettuce, tomatoes, pickles, onions, mayonnaise, and A1 thick and hearty sauce. While people flocked to try this burger, they were unhappy with the results. One Twitter user sums up what happened when you ate a Halloween Whopper. I I heard this makes your poop bright green. Yep, the side effect was so common the hashtag green poop started trending on Twitter. Tasted good, but my poop is green days later, another Halloween Whopper taster said. More like Halloween disaster, 72 hours later and still not out of my system, and it tasted horrible on top of all of that, an angry eater also tweeted. Others claimed it made their bathroom experience blue, not green, but either way, folks who tried the Burger King Halloween Whopper were not too pleased that the chain had not informed them of the potential effects of the food dye used in the bun preparation. But let's be real, did you really think they were going to dye it in a healthy way? And I'm just gonna say it, let's stop doing weird things to burgers. They could have done so many different Halloween themed foods, but they chose to mess with the burger. Number 10. Giant oarfish. An oarfish really looks like a fish-snake hybrid, as it's a huge, greatly elonged fish. The giant oarfish is the longest bony fish alive, growing up to 36 feet in length. It is found in areas spanning from temperate ocean zones to tropical ones. But unfortunately, we know little about the oarfish because it lives deep underwater and it's rarely seen. However, we know it neither feeds on humans nor fishes, but on small marine creatures like crustaceans and krill. It was officially discovered in 1772, and in September 1996, the United States Navy SEALs found a giant oarfish that washed up on the shore near San Diego, California, and it was 23 feet long. The giant oarfish is by far the largest member of its fish family, at a published total length of 26 feet, with unconfirmed reports of 36 feet and 56 feet specimens and 600 pounds in weight. Now, even though those aren't confirmed, the 20-foot long one still scares me immensely. Number 9. Giant squid. So the kraken is a legendary sea monster of enormous size and is said to appear off the coast of Norway, but what if I told you it was real? A giant squid was found on a shore in Denmark in 1853. The giant squid is as elusive as the legend it inspired, as it lives so deep underwater that we have limited information about it. However, we know it has the largest eyes of all living creatures, grows up to 60 feet, and is frequently hunted by sperm whales for food. The weaker giant squid generally flees when confronted by a whale, however, it sometimes fights back when cornered, and it's not unusual to find sperm whales with scars left from their battles with giant squids. It wasn't until the turn of this century in 2001 that humans saw the giant squid for the first time, and only a few years after that it was finally photographed, making it one of the most elusive on the planet. The giant squid has long been known to exist, but capturing it on film has taken scientists extensive time and voyages to the deepest parts of the ocean where life is difficult to sustain. Number 8. Ribbon worm. Most ribbon worms are very slim, usually only a few millimeters wide, although a few have relatively short but wide bodies. Many have a pattern of yellow, orange, red, and green coloration, and they move slowly using their external cilia to glide on surfaces on a trail of slime, while larger species use muscular waves to crawl. Most of these worms burrow in sediments, lurk in crevices between shells, stones, or the holdfasts of algae or sessile animals. Others build semi-permanent burrows lined with mucus or produce cellophane-like tubes. Mainly in the tropics and subtropics, about 12 species appear in freshwater, and about a dozen species live on the land in cool, damp places, for example under rotting logs. Now these just sound disgusting to me, and I never want to get close to one. Number 7. Hagfish. With a name like that, I think you can expect this thing to be quite ugly. And it is, it actually makes me incredibly uncomfortable. I mean, just look at it. Ew, like how is that even real? Now, hagfish are eel-shaped, slime-producing marine fish, and they are the only known living animals that have a skull but no vertebral column, although hagfish do have rudimentary vertebrae. Hagfish are jawless, and living hagfish remain similar to hagfish from around 30 million years ago. There are estimated to be 76 species of hagfish, and some live as deep as 5,500 feet below the water's surface. They're also known as slime eels because of the goop their bodies produce to ward off predators. These animals can grow to be between 16 and 40 inches long, and some live as deep as 5,600 feet below the water's surface, and as long as they stay away from me though, that's all that matters. Number 6. Barrel eye. The barrel eye, also known as a spookfish, has extremely light sensitive eyes on top of its fluid-filled head. The barrel eye was first described in 1939, but remained a mystery to scientists scientists until 2009 when they discovered that its large tubular eyes could actually rotate inside its head. This rotational ability allows them to look upward for potential prey or face forward to see what it is eating. Since barrel eyes live at such depths where there is hardly any light, their tubular eyes help them see whatever faint amounts of light drift down to them. They also have two spots above their mouths which are called nars, similar to human nostrils. Now I understand why they're called spookfish though, because they do look extremely spooky. Number 5. The slender snipe eel. The slender snipe eel, one of the most compact deep-sea critters, can grow to a minimum length of 4 feet, but weighs no more than 6 or 7 ounces. It has a bird-like beak with curving tips covered with tiny hooked teeth, which they use to sweep through the water to catch shrimp and other crustaceans. It has a lifespan of 10 years and has more vertebrae in its backbone than any other animal, which is around 750. However, its anus has moved forward during its evolution, and it's now located on the throat, so that's nice. Their reproduction is done by spawning, which is when a female lays eggs and the males lay their sperm into the water at the same time. Now, the slender snipe eel only spawns once in their lifetime, as they just die after spawning. Now, it's difficult for scientists to research these organisms because of the extreme environment they inhabit, but hopefully one day we'll get more information on that. Number 4. Goblin shark. The goblin shark is a rare species of deep-sea shark. Sometimes called a living fossil, they are part of a lineage of sharks that are some 125 million years old. The pink-skinned animal has a distinctive profile with an elongated flat snout and highly protrusible jaws containing prominent nail-like teeth. It is usually between 10 and 13 feet long when mature, though it can grow considerably larger because there was once one captured in 2000 that is thought to have been measured 20 feet. With 50 teeth in their mouths, those gruesome creatures command attention, and honestly not really for the right reasons. Interestingly, female goblin sharks are larger in adulthood than the male species. Now, despite their size, some researchers believe that these sharks could also dive the depths up to 4,270 feet for short periods of time. Number 3. Osdax. Osdax is Latin for bone eater, and these animals are also known as zombie worms. The name alludes to how these worms bore into the bones of whale carcasses to reach enclosed lipids on which they rely for substance. With no mouth, anus, or gut, the 4-centimeter long worms survive by secreting an acid that breaks up the whale bone. Now, why do these even exist? I don't know. They utilize specialized root tissues for bone boring, and it is possible that multiple species of Osdax reside in the same bone. Osdax worms are also known to feed on the collagen itself by making holes in the whale's skeletal structure. These holes can also serve as a form of protection from nearby predators. Scientists from the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute using the submarine ROV Tiburn first discovered the species in Monterey Bay, California in February 2002. The worms were found living on the bones of a decaying gray whale in the Monterey Canyon at a depth of 9,491 feet. Number 2. Deep sea dragonfish. Deep sea dragonfish are quite small, usually around 15 centimeters up to 26 centimeters. These fish are apex predators and have enormous jaws filled with fang-like teeth. In addition, they are also able to hinge their upper jaw system, which leads to them opening the jaw to more than 100 degrees, which is scary. This ability allows them to consume extremely large prey, often 50% greater than their standard length. The dragonfish can be found in all oceans, and they also exist at a wide range of depths between the surface and thousands of meters down, between 3,300 and 9,800 feet. It is one of the many species of deep sea fish that can produce their own light through a chemical process known as bioluminescence. They cannot luminesce longer than 30 minutes without adrenaline, but in the presence of adrenaline, it can produce light for many hours. They produce blue-green light, the wavelengths of which can travel the farthest in the ocean. The deep sea dragonfish waves its barbel back and forth and produces flashing lights on and off to attract prey and potential mates. Many of the species they prey upon also produce light themselves, which is why they have evolved to have black stomach walls to keep the light concealed while digesting their meal in order to stay hidden from predators. And coming in at number 1 is immortal jellyfish. The immortal jellyfish is a species of small biological immortal jellyfish found worldwide in tropic waters. Given the nickname immortal jellyfish for its ability to revert back to a polyp stage when it is starving or in danger and basically escaping death, researchers believe this jellyfish may hold the cure to cancer. Under normal conditions, its life cycle is divided into 4 parts. The union of the male and female gametes produces larva or planuna. It then attaches to the seabed as a polyp similar to an anemone. The polyp then releases ephora or young jellyfish in the phase prior to sexual maturity. They become jellyfish, reproduce sexually, and start over. But if they are stressed by an environmental threat, the jellyfish revert. After reproducing, they return to the previous phases, becoming polyps on the ocean floor again. As far as scientists know, jellyfish can repeat the process indefinitely. Thus, they are said to be biologically immortal. They can be eaten by a predator or fall into the hands of a swimmer, but they do not die of old age, which is pretty cool, but it's crazy that they can do this. Number 10. Theory of relativity. In our everyday lives, we experience 3 spatial dimensions and a 4th dimension of time. How could there be more? Einstein's general theory of relativity tells us that space can expand, contract, and bend. Now, if one dimension were to contract to a size smaller than an atom, it would be hidden from our view. But if we could look on a small enough scale, that hidden dimension might become visible again. Now, imagine a person walking on a tightrope. She can only move forwards and backwards, but not left or right nor up or down. She only sees one dimension. Ants living on a much smaller scale could move around the cable in what would appear like an extra dimension to the tightrope walker. You know how they explain the upside down in Stranger Things? Yeah, well, it'd be the same thing. So does that mean that the upside down really exists? Because I do not want to come face to face with a Demogorgon or Vecna. Number 9. Dan Cooper. One of the most famous heists in history occurred on November 24, 1971, when a man who identified himself as Dan Cooper bought a one-way ticket to Seattle on Northwest Orient Airlines from Portland, Oregon. After the plane was airborne, Dan handed the flight attendant a note. At first, she just put it in her pocket without looking, but then Cooper told her, "Miss, you better look at that note. I have a bomb." He opened a briefcase and revealed red-colored sticks surrounded by an array of wires. He told the flight attendant to write down everything he was saying, then take it to the captain. The note said, "I want $200,000 by 5 p.m. in cash exclusively in $20 bills put in a knapsack. I want 2 back parachutes and 2 front parachutes. When we land, I want a fuel truck ready to refuel. No funny stuff or I'll do the job." FBI agents assembled the ransom money and Seattle police obtained the parachutes from a local skydiving school. When Dan claimed his demands were met, he allowed all passengers and some of the crew to exit the airplane. He told the remaining crew to refuel the plane and chart a course for Mexico City while staying below 10,000 feet. Then, somewhere between Seattle and Reno, he jumped from the plane with the money and he was never seen again. Despite an expansive manhunt for over 45 years of searching, no conclusions have been made as to the man's identity or his fate after he jumped. It's called one of the greatest cold cases in FBI and US history, but many think he was from a parallel universe and just wanted some money. I don't know, but it makes you think. Number 8. Backwards parallel universe. A group of NASA scientists working on an experiment in Antarctica have detected evidence of a parallel universe where the rules of physics are the opposite of our own, according to a report. A cosmic ray detection experiment has found particles that could be from a parallel realm that were also born in the Big Bang. The experts used the giant balloon to carry NASA's Antarctic Impulsive Transit Antenna, or ANITA, high above Antarctica, where the frigid dry air provided the perfect environment with little to no radio noise to distort its findings. A constant wind of high-energy particles constantly arrives on Earth from outer space. Low-energy subatomic neutrinos with a mass close to 0 can pass completely through Earth, but higher-energy objects are stopped by the solid matter of our planet. That means high-energy particles can only be detected coming down from space, but the team's ANITA detected heavier particles, so-called tau neutrinos, which come up out of Earth. The finding implies that these particles are actually traveling backwards in time, suggesting evidence of a parallel universe, so there you go. Number 7. Mirrors. Mirrors are thought to be portals to another world, and some believe this is another dimension, but those who believe in ghosts believe it's a portal to the other side. Now, many cultures still hold on to their superstitions that exist concerning mirrors, ghosts, souls, and death. The act of covering your mirror overnight is something that is done in multiple cultures and across many beliefs worldwide. As Anthony Perrotta from AP Astrology explains, mirrors are often seen as a portal into the liminal space and the other world, and have the power to reflect what is happening happening deep in our subconscious. However, while bedroom mirror ideas are fabulous for reflecting light in the daytime, they are at their most powerful when paired with sleep, say experts. There's also a notion that if you look into a mirror too long, you can see your face distort, and there's always that thing where people are scared their reflection is gonna move when they are not. And why would the reflection move? Because it's someone from another dimension trying to copy us. Number 6. Doppelgangers. A doppelganger is a biologically unrelated look-alike or double of a living person. You might have heard the phrase, there are 7 other versions of you in the world. Now, a study of look-alikes, unrelated people with faces so similar they could pass for identical twins, has found that such pairs share genetic traits. Scientists studied 32 pairs of individuals with uncannily similar headshots who were part of a long-running project by a Canadian photographer to document these faux twins. The 16 pairs found by computer analysis to have the most similar features also shared more genetic variants than the less similar pairs, the researchers concluded. Now, that's not a huge surprise because researchers are already using genetics to predict face shape. The fake twins did not share DNA methylation patterns, chemical marks controlling gene expressions that are shaped by our environment, reinforcing the dominant role of DNA alone plays in determining our appearance. Now, could this be an appearance of you who's accidentally in the wrong universe? Maybe. Maybe. Number 5. Third man syndrome. Sometimes when people get into really bad car accidents, there's some sort of supernatural phenomenon that happens to you. You may have heard of this as a video is now going viral on TikTok, and it's called third man syndrome, and it's an unseen presence that appears during traumatic survival situations that talks to the victim, gives them practical advice, and encourages them. Now, this has happened to many people, and we don't know if it's some sort of angel speaking to them or if it's another version of themselves from a different dimension telling them not to give up. Regardless, it is creepy. Now, under one of these posts, someone said, as a paramedic, I can concur. Many patients swear people were there and no one's around. So what can explain this? I'm not too sure, but it's comforting that someone is there with people experiencing such tragedies. Number 4. Shifting realities. So in 2020, there was a lot of talk on TikTok about people shifting realities as we were in lockdown. People were in realities where they were famous, were a part of Hogwarts, and so much more. But is there any truth to it? Reality shifting is a term that refers to the spiritual practice of transferring or shifting one's consciousness to an alternate reality and or the attempt to alter the reality one is experiencing and transcending one's physical confines to visit alternate universes. Now, reality shifting, also known as shifting, is a form of manifestation rooted in Buddhism and Hinduism. So it's not just something made up by teenage girls. The techniques include hypnosis, transcendental meditation, biofeedback, binaural sounds, affirmations, and subliminal stimuli. So if you can shift to another universe, then that means there are parallel universes, right? Number 3. Hadron Collider. The world's largest particle accelerator was turned on once again in the year of 2022. After 3 years of upgrades and maintenance, it immediately observed 3 exotic particles for the first time. The Large Hadron Collider, LHC, is now up and running and breaking records for the highest energy particle collisions ever performed. It's pretty exciting, with the teams involved searching for more information on the so-called God particle, the Higgs boson, and signs of dark matter. And this machine could test for other dimensions. Now, how would they test for extra dimensions? One option would be to find evidence of particles that can exist if only dimensions are real. Theories that suggest extra dimensions predict that in the same way as atoms have low energy ground state and excited high energy states, there would be heavier versions of standard particles in other dimensions. These heavier versions of particles, called quasi-clean states, would have exactly the same properties as standard particles and so be visible to our detectors, but with a greater mass. If CMS or ATLAS were to find Z or W-like particle, the Z and W bosons being carriers of the electroweak force, with a mass 100 times larger for instance, this might suggest the presence of extra dimensions. Such heavy particles can only be revealed at high energies reached by the LHC, so we could potentially find out if there are indeed other dimensions. Number 2. Quantum immortality. Quantum immortality started as a thought experiment in the late 1980s and later was more fully developed by physicist and cosmologist Max Tegmark. It suggests that we can die many times throughout our lives. With each passing, our consciousness moves, slides, jumps, or shifts to the closest timeline, very similar to the one where we died. These ideas and application of the concept lie outside of the realm of science, but have been embraced by many of those who believe they have experienced such a shift. While science and skeptics may not agree, others are not so quick to dismiss the idea. There are reports of near-death experiences which validate these beliefs. Now, most people do not realize that they have jumped until later unless the event is particularly traumatic. Sometimes they can trace the shift back to a specific global tragedy or experience. Small differences are sometimes noted, and the result of earlier choices or decisions in which manifest in the new reality. And coming in at number 1 are psychics. Whenever psychics tap into the spirit world, you're tapping into a different timeline, as their time is completely different than it is here, so that's why sometimes predictions don't come true. This is like when the 2016 presidential election happened. They were sure that Hillary was going to win, but then she didn't. Due to this, people think we shifted timelines in 2016. Now, one reason for the sudden shift? Well, back in April 2016, CERN Weasel made it into the super collider I was talking about before and chewed its way through a 66,000 volt transformer. Workers found the charred remains later. Now, that definitely could have messed a lot of things up. All I gotta say is, stupid Weasel.